Thank you very much, Madam President. I rise today to speak on behalf of American women, our fundamental rights, and our freedom to make our own healthcare decisions. It's shocking that in this day and age that we have to actually stand up and fight for something as basic as making our own reproductive health decisions. Not a bunch of politicians, not a bunch of judges, but women making our own healthcare decisions. Thanks to a radically conservative Supreme Court that we now have, reproductive freedom is no longer a constitutional right in the United States of America. No longer a constitutional right in the United States of America after 50 years. Today's daughters and granddaughters have fewer freedoms than their grandmothers did, and for the record, we're furious. Want to know just how furious? Well, in Michigan, our state could soon revert back to a 1931 law that makes abortion at any stage a felony. No exceptions for rape or incest, putting people in jail, potentially. Women going to jail, doctors going to jail. I mean, who knows how far that this would go. Well, the people of Michigan aren't going to stand for that, and a group called Reproductive Freedom for All has gotten to work. These passionate advocates and volunteers from all across Michigan, west side, east side, up north, down south in Michigan, have collected more than 750,000 signatures to put reproductive freedom on the ballot for Michigan women this November. It's the most signatures ever collected for a ballot measure in Michigan, twice as many as is actually needed to put the ballot proposal on the November ballot. The most ever, 750,000 people have come forward to sign petitions to give them the right to vote to protect their reproductive freedom. So our freedoms are on the ballot in November. Now, we also know that we have to continue to do everything we can right now, both at the state level and the federal level, because waiting isn't an option. Women's lives and people's livelihoods are on the line today. And it's revealed a stark contrast when we look at the actions that are being taken or not taken. Democrats are standing with women to protect our reproductive freedoms. As of June 1st, Democrats in 5 states have already enacted laws, new laws, protecting access to legal abortion. And 62 pieces of legislation have been introduced in 17 states across America to protect reproductive freedom. And Vermont, California, and Arizona have joined Michigan in pursuing ballot initiatives to enshrine reproductive freedom in their state constitutions. So men and women will have the opportunity there, the freedom to vote to protect their reproductive freedoms. Democratic governors have issued executive orders and taken other actions to protect access to reproductive health care. And the Biden administration signed an executive order directing agencies to protect access to medical care and providing legal support to patients and healthcare providers. Meanwhile, Republicans are doing everything they can to stand in the way of women who are simply trying to access basic health care, what's best for them, with their own faith, their own family, the counsel of their doctors, the capacity for women to make their own decisions. Again, not a bunch of politicians, not a bunch of judges. It's the United States of America. This is not about what decisions are made, it's about who makes them, the government or women. Now, Republicans are saying the government at every level. 15 states have already banned abortion, and several more are expected to follow soon. A clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, a state where care has been severely restricted, is now sending its patients to Detroit. These women have to drive 2.5 hours at least to receive basic health care. And now some people want to take away their car keys. And to be clear, Republican elected officials want to take away their car keys. Republican lawmakers in some states are pursuing legislation to prevent people from traveling to another state to receive reproductive health care. In America, people being banned from driving to another state to be able to get the health care that they need, oftentimes in very serious emergency situations, tragedies. Think about that for a moment. Republicans who fancy themselves the party of freedom are trying to pass laws that would prevent an Ohio woman from driving to Michigan for health care in America. The Freedom to Travel for Health Care Act, introduced by my friend Senator Cortez Masto, would have protected that right. It would protect that right. And last week we tried to pass it. Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues blocked it. But we will keep trying. And we will keep doing everything we can to get enough people that are pro-choice, that respect privacy, respect women in this chamber to be able to make that happen. So this week we're trying a different approach to protect people's reproductive freedom. Senator Smith and Senator Murray have introduced legislation that I'm pleased to co-sponsor as well. It would provide $550 million a year in permanent funding for Title X family planning programs. Now, let me remind everyone that Title X funding can't be used to provide abortions. This is about basic health care, yearly pap smears, and OBGYN visits, and the capacity to work with the clinic to get the basic care that you need and the basic birth control that you need. It prevents unplanned pregnancies in the first place by providing affordable birth control and other reproductive health care to people who need it. We should all be able to come together. Given my colleagues across the aisle and how passionate they are about preventing abortions, I expect that they will eagerly support this common sense bill when in the next couple of days a motion is made to pass it. Birth control is basic health care. We shouldn't need to be here defending something that nearly 90% of American women use at some point in their lives. But we saw what happened to Roe, and we've since seen how eager Republicans at all levels are to constrain reproductive freedom. So here we are. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation coming before us this week. Democrats are standing with women. We respect women. We understand that women need to make their own decisions. And Democrats understand that this is about freedom, the freedom to decide for ourselves in whatever circumstance that we are in, whatever tragedy, whatever is happening, that women need to be able to make our own basic healthcare decisions and not have the government coming in to regulate what is happening for women. So it's time for Republicans to join us on this legislation, basic legislation on Title X that will ensure that there's support for basic reproductive health care. Again, we're talking about annual visits. We're talking about OBGYN visits for women. We're talking about basic birth control. I certainly hope that Republican colleagues are not going to say no to basic health care, reproductive health care for women. I hope Republican colleagues will join us. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.